This is the Sports Timeout Podcast with Brooklyn Farrell, Tony Karanko, and your host, Wes Underwood.
Because this game is too much for me, you know me. I'm not the type to give up, but I'm steady slipping slowly. Don't know where to turn, like I'm driving in a circle. How do you stay going? Everything is so commercial. How do you get rid of the pain when it's so hurtful? How do you let it go when no one will let it go? My past still defines me. Everything is blinding. Lights always shining on everything behind me. Things I don't want them to see. I never wanted to be. Always I'm really saying, struggling to the lead. And now I see you looking sad and depressed. Cause my problems became yours and it has no effect. And I can feel the tug of war like it's deep in my soul. I just need you to know that I'm finally letting go. Letting go of everything I've ever known. You know, I'm back on that. I'm letting go of everything I've ever known. You know, I'm back on that road. I'm not a perfect man, not even
Riley.
music of loving you. I probably said the most. Sometimes I think I'm going crazy, cause I can't keep up and I get beat up, but it doesn't even faze me. I'm cold as ice, I look around and nothing nice. They say I sold my soul, well yes, in fact I sold it twice. To my career and to the girl of my dreams. I wear a double fist to rip up the seams. Falling apart, how this heart is so hard, and all in these walls I've been falling. Honestly, I can't acknowledge all this and walk with the conscience, cause I just tune it out. I take the foolish route, I shut my mouth.
And those were some of the ghetto taco sights and sounds from the big events this week and, last weekend, actually, as we got more to come this week. Oh, man, Kaminsky Classic started yesterday. Welcome to the Sports Timeout Podcast, brought to you by Jefferson's and Krackin Cajun Seafood House in Joplin. And, Wes Underwood, along with Tony. And Happy New Year, everyone. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you doing, man?
Good, good. New year, new us, new show. New background here. All is good.
Oh, I'm going to stay with the classic background this week.
Yeah, it's all good.
Sports.
Got to keep something there. I don't know, familiarity, something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah. All right. We're gonna jump right in, and it's gonna get pretty intense for a little bit. You ready?
Super ready.
All right. Well, first up, we'll go ahead and talk NFL, and lots of things happening this week. And we here on the show would like to send out our thoughts and prayers to the Hamlin family. We pray for a speedy recovery, and we're glad that everything's going well, and that life continues after football and continues to be okay for him. We'd also like to show our gratitude to the medical professionals who spent 10 minutes plus now 72 plus hours, whatever it is now, reviving him, countless hours. We'll just go with that. And not giving up and just being able to help him to survive so he can take care of his family and be there for his family. Great signs coming out of it. But, I mean, it was a hard thing for them to do. It was a hard thing to watch. Lots of emotions came with this situation. And that being said, whether the game is made up, which it's looking probably not to happen now as of reports last night, but I mean, again, it would have been up to the teams, and I'm pretty sure that they came to that conclusion last night because the coaches and the players, I mean, it was up to them. It really wasn't up to the NFL, and if the NFL were to overrule that and have that game played, I think they would have lost a lot of fans, in my opinion. But after that decision came out, and here's what it's coming down to right now, reports by ESPN. Canceling the game between the Bills and the Bengals creates potential competitive inequalities in a certain playoff scenarios, and in an effort to, I guess, mitigate those inequities, NFL clubs are going to consider tomorrow, later today, actually, since I'm reading this a little early here, special league meeting a resolution recommended by the commissioner and approved today by the competition committee, which was last night. So consisting of the two elements, the AFC championship game will be played at a neutral site if the participating teams play an unequal number of games, and both could have been a number one seed and hosted the game had the AFC clubs, not the NFL clubs, played full 17-game regular season. Those circumstances involve Buffalo or Cincinnati qualifying for the game as a road team and are listed below. Scenario number 1, Buffalo and Kansas City both win or both tie. Buffalo versus Kansas City championship game would be at a neutral site. And then scenario number 2, Buffalo and Kansas City both lose and Baltimore wins or ties. A Buffalo versus Kansas City championship game would be at a neutral site. Scenario number 3, Buffalo and Kansas City both lose and Cincinnati wins. A Buffalo or Cincinnati versus Kansas City championship game would be at a neutral site. I mean, that's a lot of neutral sites, but it's understandable with everything that's gone on. And then number 2, in that situation, if Baltimore defeats Cincinnati in week 18, it will have defeated Cincinnati, a divisional opponent, twice. So they will not be able to host a playoff game because Cincinnati will have a higher winning percentage for a 16-game schedule than Baltimore will for a 17-game schedule. So if Baltimore defeats Cincinnati, I know this is a lot to digest. I apologize, but I mean, we're getting this just like you all are and just trying to digest it too. But if those two clubs are scheduled to play a wild card game against one another, the site for that game would be determined by a coin toss. Okay. If Cincinnati wins week 18, or if Baltimore and Cincinnati are not scheduled to play one another in a wild card round, the game sites would be determined by a regular scheduling procedure. And as we considered the football schedule, this is coming from the commissioner now in the NFL, our principles have been to limit disruption across the league and minimize competitive inequities, Goodell said. And I recognize that there's no perfect situation here or solution. So the proposal we are asking the ownership to consider, however, addresses the most significant potential equitable issues created by the difficult but necessary decision not to play the game under these extraordinary circumstances. Again, with all that being said, I mean, do you agree with all that? Are you okay with that, Tony, as a fan?
No, I'm not really okay with it. I mean, I think it is the most fair.
Yeah.
At the moment. I'm gonna sound like Skip Bayless for a moment. I honestly think they should have continued the game, finished the game. It's tough, you know what I mean? But injuries and stuff like that happens all the time. And obviously, my heart is out with Mr. Hamlin. I hope for the best, and I hope he has a speedy recovery, and hopefully he's on the field again next season. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, if the teams are okay with that, I mean, because ultimately, as a team, as an owner, as a coach, if that's okay with you, then cool, But like at the same time, you're out there to play, and that's your job. I think they should have continued it. It would have been a distraction for everybody. It's not just a distraction for the Bills or the Bengals. It's a distraction for both. And I think they could have finished out the game, and then you don't have this situation. And it's not like the players were there by his side to make sure that they were, that he was recovering. It's not like they needed the players to not play in order for the medical personnel to save his life. It's not a popular opinion, but I don't think what Skip Bayless said was, that crazy and outlandish. I don't think he meant to disrespect anybody. I think what he said is 100% true. It might have been just a little bit bad. A little bit of bad timing. You know what I mean? But he could have waited maybe to the next day. But even then, and like I don't really even think it was that bad. Obviously, whenever you're reading something that somebody writes, you don't know what kind of emotions they're saying it with, and they don't know what the intent is behind it. So it's very easy for people to want to cry and say that he meant it maliciously, but I don't think he really said anything that crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll go ahead and talk that too. I mean, so you're going to say that he shouldn't have to retract that statement about DeMar?
Well, what statement did he make about DeMar? I'm just talking about the game. With the statement he made about the game.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think he just made it about the game, but I think everybody took it as he was making it towards DeMar.
No, I mean, I think it's ridiculous for people to even think it's that they said it that way.
Yeah.
He's 100% talking about, like what he said is true. It's late in the season. It's coming down to the wire where, these teams are, they're depending on a win or on a loss, to set everything up. And now you just went into a 5-minute rant talking about all these what ifs. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I'm saying, like yes, I understand them like being distracted and may not be the best, the best state of mind. But at the same time, you know, the players don't need to be like weren't how many players actually went to the hospital and performed any sort of life-saving activities on DeMar?
I don't
Nobody.
think they were allowed in other than to
Exactly.
sit in the
So
waiting
they could
room.
have continued the game, as distracting as it may have been. They could have continued the game, or maybe
Did,
postpone it to the next night.
did you hear DeMar? Did you see Adam Schefter's post about what DeMar said when he woke up?
No.
He woke up and said, "Who won the game?"
So obviously, in his mind, he understands that life goes on.
Yeah.
The NFL has to go on, and I'm not. Whatever they decide to do, it's on them, and whatever consequences they face because of that, it's on them. But I
Yeah.
don't. I do think that this late in the season, it definitely does affect them.
Yeah, it does.
Like it affects all three teams that we're talking about: Kansas City, the Bills, and the Bengals. Obviously, I want what's best for DeMar,
Yeah.
but it's the game and the life-saving situation that they were put into has nothing to do whether they could have continued the game or not.
Yeah. All right, moving on. We'll go ahead and move on for everybody listening. And in the NFL, we continue to talk, and that will be the Panthers next. Jim Harbaugh, who is an apparent front runner for the head coaching position there, but current interim coach Wilkes is also a very strongly considered coach for the position as well, since he's done pretty decent. I'd say if they win out or win their last game, then he'll probably be in consideration next year for sure. But that being said, should Wilkes get the extension, or should they bring in a proven winner in Harbaugh, who is 44-19-1 in the regular season? What are your thoughts there?
Man, I don't think it's going to make a big difference either way. I think to me it only makes sense for the Panthers to keep what they have going on and hopefully just build a little bit more success.
Yep.
It's not like he's doing that terrible.
No.
So I think Harbaugh could make a bigger difference elsewhere.
Yeah, very much so. Maybe Denver, maybe Pittsburgh.
Maybe Houston.
Pittsburgh's coach isn't on the hot seat though, so
He'd probably do better.
yeah.
I'd take him over at Pittsburgh.
Next in the NFL, we're going to go ahead and talk Hall of Fame, and it was announced Wednesday evening that along with tackle Joe Thomas, cornerback Darrell Revis, defensive end or player, because he was also a linebacker, Dwight Freeney, cornerback Albert Lewis, Jared Allen, defensive end, tackle Willie Anderson, cornerback Rondé Barber, wideout and returner Devin Hester, wideout Torrey Holt, wideout Andre Johnson, linebacker Zach Thomas, defensive beast DeMarcus Ware, wideout Reggie Wayne, linebacker Patrick Willis, and safety Darren Woodson. It's one heck of a class to go with here to try and get into the Hall of Fame. So I'm going to say, who are your top three guaranteed to get in? Do you have any?
I have a top one, and I want to say Hester.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I think he has the most returns touchdowns, like from either a punt or kickoffs. I mean, with him, without a doubt. I mean, his whole highlight tape is ridiculous.
It is.
And honestly, I feel like everybody who gets nominated should honestly be in the Hall of Fame because for the simple fact that they're nominated.
Yeah.
It's a huge accomplishment. So like, obviously I understand that not everybody can make it into the Hall of Fame, but if you're being nominated, it means you're deserving of it.
Yeah.
And it must suck to be, one of the, on the half that doesn't make it, just because maybe next year you deserve to make it, versus those guys.
Indeed.
So
indeed.
I think it's tough to not have all those guys be in the Hall of Fame. I think they're all very deserving.
Yeah. My top 3 would be Devin Hester for sure. I mean, dude was just a beast. Torrey Holt for the Rams. Love that guy. Think he's deserving of it. Should get in this year. And I'm torn between DeMarcus Ware and Dwight Freeney because I like them both. And I think I'm going to go ahead and go with Dwight Freeney because I think DeMarcus Ware has been waiting less time than Dwight Freeney. So I really like that take there. And then lastly in the NFL, we're going to go ahead and talk Jalen Pitre and his sticky situation. Last weekend, a subject that was overlooked due to other things happening, rightfully so, but should he be fined or be suspended, or should we just leave the situation alone with him having the sticky gloves?
Well, I've said this before. The NFL is rigged. I don't think the gloves were sticky because of any substance on them. I mean, and you can look it up. There's a video of a news reporter showing how easy it is to catch a football, an NFL football with the magnets. Yeah, this is my little conspiracy coming out, but it's not a conspiracy because it's proven that it works and it happens. You know, they have magnets inside the ball. They have magnets on the tip of the gloves. I think that's something right there. I think the NFL is rigged. As much as I love football and I enjoy good football games and I love good catches.
I think for the first time on the show in a long time, you're going to get muted there. Like, I don't go that far. I'll say some things probably are choiced, like some scenarios, but I'm not going to go as far as the magnetic.
I mean, you can deny it if you want. I'm just saying that it is proven that it exists. I'm not saying it's in the NFL, but that it looks a lot more like that than it does to be sticky. So I think the NFL is just trying to cover their asses by giving them a slap on the wrist, fine.
Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and move on. Next up, we move over to the NBA and we talk Donovan Mitchell's 71-point night. The man was just outstanding. He had one really good night, but sure enough, Mitchell was drug tested the day after. And I mean, they have 4 of them at random during the year throughout the season. So, and they just happened to test him after that. And look, I mean, these games happen. 82 of them, in fact, and 34 players have scored 60 plus points. 7 players have scored 70 plus points. 6 players have scored 60 plus points multiple times. I mean, Chamberlain did it in 32 games or 32 times, 32 separate games. Kobe Bryant did it in 6. MJ did 5 times. I mean, it's crazy, but doable. And not to mention, Chamberlain scored a record 101 game. So my question is, did the NBA go too far or was it justifiable?
I don't know. I'd say it's just part of it. I mean, if they think that he's on something, if it's uncharacteristic, I don't see it that being too bad.
Okay. All right. And we'll go ahead and end with former Joplin running back and now South Dakota State running back taking on North Dakota State in the FCS National Championship, and that's Isaiah Davis. Davis has almost 1,400 yards on the ground this season. He has amassed almost 2,900 yards in his career, which is 3 years so far at that university. I mean, that's good for almost 7 yards per carry with all that. And if they win this Sunday, his draft stock is going to go way up. I mean, he's good. And when I watched him in high school, he earned Gatorade Player of the Year in Missouri. He had an outstanding senior season. I mean, in 2019-2020, he had 2,283 yards rushing, which equaled 163 yards per game with 45 touchdowns. He finished as a state runner-up. If you don't believe me, how incredible this guy is, one more stat for the current postseason. He has carried the ball 50 times for 416 yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, that's almost 9 yards per carry. That's crazy. And that's at the D1 level. I mean, again, his draft stock goes up if they win this weekend. So what are your thoughts here? Should he enter the draft if they win, or play one more year. I mean, the dude's on fire. So you, what are your thoughts there?
He needs to go into the draft as fast as possible.
Yeah.
He's a running back, and as much as I want him to succeed, the running back's life expectancy in the NFL career is very, very short.
Yeah.
He needs to hop in there as soon as possible, because once he gets into the NFL, there's a very good chance that his career is not going to last a lot longer than 5 years.
Yeah.
So he needs to hop in there as soon as possible. I think he has the talent. I think he can hit, he can run. He can do it all. I think he needs to go in there as fast as possible, get his money, and make a name for himself.
All you scouts out there, unofficial time for his 40 is 4.5, and I'm sure that's gotten faster. I mean, the dude's gotten taller. He's gotten a little bit more trim, but he's also built. So he's like a freight train. And you can catch him in the game on ABC at 1 p.m. on Sunday. And with that, we'll go ahead and go into the local sports update, brought to you by Trackside Burger and who's the other one there, Tony?
No.
Hot Stone Pizzeria.
No, there you go.
And that being said, lots going on since coming back from Christmas break here in the 4 states. And I mean, stunning loss, Pitt State Monday night, though. We'll go with MSSU here first. Or no, we won't. Kaminsky Classic began yesterday in Joplin. I'm getting ahead of myself. I apologize. And Joplin, Neosho, Webb, Carl are all partaking in this one on the men's side. Joplin will compete in the championship bracket tonight at 7:30 p.m. Neosho will compete in the consolation bracket tomorrow at 4:30. Webb City is going to compete in the, I believe, 5:30 game for the championship bracket as they won. Carl Junction, I did not hear anything about them yet, but I believe that they will be in the consolation bracket as well. And then all this being said, for tomorrow, the 7th place game will begin at 11 a.m. 5th place game will begin at 12:30 p.m. And then at 2 p.m. will be the 3rd place game. And at 3:30 p.m. will be the championship game. And that's going to be played at Joplin's Kaminsky Gym. And then one other team in action tonight, Carthage will play host to East Newton at 7:30 p.m. And we'll finish out with a 2-minute warning brought to you by Hot Stone Pizzeria. Winners for best pizza in the 4 states. So go grab one of theirs tonight. And now we get to it. After a stunning loss to Pitt State on Monday, and MSSU women's basketball is now on a 2-game losing streak. They're set to play their 3rd game in 5 days since coming back from winter break. They will head to Nebraska Kearney tomorrow at 2 p.m. And for the MSSU men, same story. They'll play at 4 p.m. Who you got here in this matchup?
Missouri Southern for both.
Okay. Boys, men pulled out a great win against Pitt State on Monday. And yeah, let's see how they continue to do, because Coach McMahon's got them in the right direction. Next, we head into Pittsburgh as the Gorillas are both set to take on Fort Hays State tomorrow. The women will play at 2 and the men will tip at 4. And who you got there?
I got Fort Hays for both of those as well.
Okay. And then Isaiah Davis's team from Isaiah Davis, again from Joplin. His team will be taking on South Dakota State and North Dakota State, facing each other there. So that game's at 1 p.m. on ABC. Who you got?
I'm going to go with South Dakota State on that.
Okay. All right. I'll take that too. And I'll also pick Pitt State and MSSU doubleheader wins. And of course, all these games and events are pending to the weather and the current and fluid COVID-19 situation. So tune into each team's social media pages for times and updates, and the music is continuing to play. So is the end of another episode. For Tony, Brooklyn, and myself, have a great and safe New Year's start, and we will see you guys next week on the podcast. Take care.
See you.